Bothered by a
y'all.
world map littered with quest icons or the
Hell
thought
is
of being
us
shepherded through an
review
adventure rather than
GameSpot.
unraveling it instinctually. The freedom that Hell is Us promises will immediately draw you in. It's evident every time you boot up the game with a tooltip reminding you
No map in this game. I played this game. Definitely go watch that. I played the demo. If y'all want to see my gameplay of it and how I feel
that
about
you'll
it, go
get
watch it.
no quest markers, no world map, and no hints as to where to go next.
You
while
do
you
get
explore
some
its
hints.
World. This promise is kept through its campaign, although how challenging this makes it overall is less impactful than you might think.
Yeah,
Hell
it's
is Us
not hard.
definitely demands more of your attention for exploration than most other modern video games, but it's also quite forgiving in how much information it litters around you to keep you subtly on track.
It gives you, yes, that's the hints I'm talking about. It gives you so much information. All you gotta do is read and look at stuff, and you'll figure out where to
Coupled
go.
with a brutal but captivating world and a combat system that's more than meets the eye.
Oh yeah, what y'all think? Guess what it's gonna be? GameSpot. I seen IGN gave it a 7. I think GameSpot's gonna give it a 7 also. I could be wrong though. I think it's gonna give it a 7. I think it's gonna give it a
is an
7.
engaging, albeit imperfect, attempt at defining a new type of action adventure.
I give it like a 7.58. 25 hours. I only played it for like an hour.
Set
It was.
in the
I had
fictional
fun with
region
it.
of Hedea in the late 1900s, Hell is Us blends together the centuries-long mystery behind the appearance of ghostly monsters and the calamity that follows them, with an ongoing civil war that is tearing apart the land. Citizens of Hedea line behind two factions, the Ptolemaists and the Sabaeans. With decades of heritage and ongoing propaganda fueling gruesome war crimes and countless lives lost to bloodshed, it's here where Hell is Us features its most striking and upsetting moments, routinely letting you come across acts of depravity that depict how the divides between people can drive them to commit acts of brutality. You'll naturally come across shockingly violent scenes or hear about gruesome tortures through conversations, which give shape to the brutality of the civil war you're in the middle of. It's not played wholly for shock value either, with these unsettling scenes providing needed texture to the region and the plights of the citizens desperately trying to escape.
Graphics look great
As you
too,
explore
man.
the various hubs that you can freely travel between, you'll encounter a variety of characters hoping for some help. A grieving father at a mass grave can find solace in a picture of his family that you retrieve for him. A trapped politician will thank you for finding them a disguise to navigate a hostile office space. Or a lost girl can be reminded of her missing father by a pair of shoes he asked for you to deliver before his death. These good deeds aren't critical to the central story, but they deepen your connection to Hedea further with each one completed. They also do the best job of delivering on Hell is Us's promises of guideless exploration, with subtle clues pointing you towards the items that each character seeks, whether it's in the town you're currently exploring or waiting for you.
How do y'all feel about that type of side quest? Basically, just finding items and giving it to the NPCs as a side quest. It's just like fetch quests. Fetch quests. How do y'all feel about fetch quests?
Much later. It's satisfying to recall a brief conversation you had hours prior when coming across a new item, letting you close the loop on a side quest you had all but abandoned. This sense of discovery extends to the main plot, with solutions to puzzles often requiring some pause and thought in order to overcome them. They're multi-stage too, turning spaces into small puzzle boxes reminiscent of games like Resident Evil. The clues can be anywhere, including small phrases mentioned in conversations, throwaway lines in emails, and on notes you'll discover alongside critical items. It's not as simple as finding a save combination scribbled in blood a few rooms away, but it's also not as grueling that you'll often find yourself directionless. You won't receive hints as to where to go next, but the character and location summaries that are generated give enough of a nudge in the right direction to keep your progress steady. You can think of Hell is Us as an action game that borrows more from classic point-and-click adventures in its approach to exploration than other contemporaries in the genre, just without the overly obtuse puzzles and hours wandering around in circles.
You don't have to
They
be
do.
a
It's not bad not having a map on that game.
Gets 24/7 fast-friendly claim support.
Could I
Dang,
get a
game
picture?
Yeah, it's
spot.
not like you run into animal
15
celebrities every day.
unskipped.
Stop. It's
You
just
got me.
a
You
book.
got me.
Get more than just savings. Get more with Geico.
You got me.
Awaken to a world of wonder in Final Fantasy XIV Online.
As you peel away the current events transpiring in Hadia, you'll start learning about the centuries of history
bro,
that
can I
led
cut
to
him
this
down?
point. It's filled with monarchs and betrayal, missing hairs and star-crossed lovers, but none of it makes much of a lasting impression or fully justifies the horror taking place because of these events. This is interwoven with the story of protagonist Remy, who was born in Hadia before being smuggled out as a child by his mother. Returning to find his family, Remy's story and the secret protectors of Hadia that his family is tied to is uninteresting and rote, ultimately concluding with a predictable ending that does little to explain the interrogation you continually flash back to from the start.
Interrogation.
It's a
I
pity
really
that
want to know
while
what
you
it's
get to
about.
witness Hadia at its worst, Remy never really seems to remark meaningfully on what is happening around him. Voice actor Elias Tofexis, most recognizable as Adam Jensen in Deus Ex Human Revolution, is disappointing as Remy, with the alluring raspiness of his voice lost in weak dialogue and a monotone delivery.
How about I give it back when I no longer need it?
Hell's Us moves you between war-torn cities engulfed in
Thought he was
smoke
alright
to underground
in
laboratories
the demo.
that are etched into the walls of old religious sites, and none of it feels out of place. Unfortunately, your ability to move around these spaces is incredibly rigid, with the lack of a jump preventing you from scaling numerous waist-high obstacles between you and some loot. It feels egregious artificially in the context of Remy being rather dexterous otherwise, and is clearly done to force puzzles to be solved in a specific way. While the soldiers around you brandish assault rifles and roll around in tanks, you'll be forced to contend with a variety of monochrome creatures known as Hollow Walkers, using melee weapons exclusively. Hell's Us's combat will look and feel a lot like many
that's
Soulsborne titles.
fire.
Attacks and dodges are tied to a stamina bar, whose total is defined by how much life you have left. It's a confusing coupling that makes early encounters challenging, but one that is counterbalanced by the combat's encouragement of
I like
aggression.
the
Similar
combat.
to Bloodborne, each hit claws back some life from enemies. Here, however, you can regain more health than what you've lost in a fight, letting you use enemies almost like healing items when you know you can dispatch them without taking damage. It's a system that makes fights very dynamic, with just a few well-timed and reserved hits taking you from death's door to fully healed up again. Snatching away
like
victory
it.
like this is exhilarating, producing a
Yep.
similar sensation to defeating a tough boss in a Soulsborne without having to mimic the steps it takes to get there.
Yes, the combat is definitely
Outside of basic and strong attacks with
light
one of the
spot
4
for this
weapons
game.
you can choose between, combat is aided by a variety of special abilities
what
to
the
choose
world
from.
is that?
These are divided between equipable perks for your weapon and bird-like drones, each with their own cooldown timers to manage. Your drone provides support mostly, latching onto your back to give your dodges a little more speed and distance, or distracting an enemy to grant you an opening. Weapon abilities are more effective. I gravitated to abilities that let me crowd control effectively, such as one that dealt damage to foes around me, or others that would do large amounts of burst damage to single enemies at a distance. The combat has some breadth, but the overall depth doesn't really match it. Abilities and enemy types are limited, with both relying on bigger damage
I know
numbers
that.
and new attacks at higher levels, respectively, to make up for the variety. The limited enemy pool is helped somewhat by the inclusion of husks, brightly colored foes that are tethered
knew
to
the
some
enemy
enemies and
types would
shield
be
them from damage. Some of
not
Hell's
that many.
Us's best fights feature a husk tied to multiple enemies at once, forcing you to dispatch it a handful of times as you pick away its hosts one by one. But these moments are undone by Hell's Us's reliance on enemy count rather than evolving challenges to maintain difficulty in the latter stages of the campaign, which results in some frustrating encounters with cheap deaths. They also expose problems with the game's finicky lock-on system and camera, with both struggling to accurately find their targets while you're being swamped in dark,
This just sounded like a 7.
gloomy underground corridors. The combat is more lenient than its inspirations too. Enemies do respawn, but only if you travel away from your current location. Each area also contains a time loop, a constantly reoccurring moment of intense trauma that also keeps enemies in the area respawning. By clearing out certain enemies around it, you can enter the time loop and close it for good, ridding the area of enemies and allowing you to explore it in safety.
That's cool. But this is not a Souls-like game. It kind of is, though.
You'll come
when you
across
play
data
it.
pads that allow you to save and set your respawn point should you die, but you don't lose anything when you do, making it significantly less punishing. Difficulty levels also allow you to tune combat to your liking, an option that isn't extended to exploration, so you can focus on that instead if you're finding going toe-to-toe with hollow walkers less engaging. All this means that while combat in Hell is Us looks like a Soulsborne, it differs from the genre more than you might expect. While I was left dissatisfied by the narrative conclusion of Hell is Us, its journey to that point was pleasantly engaging. It was refreshing not to just follow a quest marker through a story, but also a relief that I was never spun around for hours on end, wondering where I needed to go next. This balance is what made traversing Hadia and experiencing all the horrors it contained a rewarding one, making each new step feel earned rather than routine. It's backed by an imperfect but engaging combat system that's only let down by some shallow enemy variety and imprecise control, but never to the point of outright frustration. If Hell is Us is developer Rogue Factor's first stab at a new type of third-person action
That's what I'm
game, and
saying.
although
It's
it's
great
less
for their
revolutionary
first-
than the
for the
initial
first
promise might
IP.
suggest, it is one that still managed to stay surprising until the end.
I'm 2-0 reviews when it comes to scores. 2-0 reviews when it comes to scores. Quit playing with me. That's what I said. It's about a 7-8 for me. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time with it when I played the demo. Can we at least wait 100 years before referring to the 90s as the 1900s? Come on. Only 1900 kids were late 1900s. Sounds wild to me. It does. Oh man, crazy how I was born in late 1900 and I'm still 25. Late 19. I don't remember him saying 1900s. But the character models are extremely good. These types of games need our support. Yes, not a AAA game. That love the demo and can't wait to explore more. The demo was great. He said as generic as they come is crazy. Gave it a 7. 1992 as a ride. I liked it. 7 is great. Not for $70, I don't think. I don't think it's a $70 game anyway. I'm pretty sure it's probably $59.99 or $49.99. I would definitely get it on sale. But if you liked it, you should definitely try the demo. And if you like it, then definitely pay that money. But for me, this would be a great Game Pass game. But yeah, what y'all think about it, man? When I played it, I gave it about like an 8, 7.5, 7, in that range. I don't think it was as good as it's definitely not as good as Chronos. It's definitely not as good as what I've seen of Chronos: The New Dawn. So I give this like a 7.5, 7. Until I play it again, that's what my score would be. Let me know what y'all think. If y'all excited about this game, I think this game is already out too. Pretty sure it's already out. Let me know if y'all are playing it right now. Actually, if it's out, and let me know how your thoughts about it. Any more reactions? Let me know. Games. Don't worry. I'm about to get my Let's Play out. Don't worry. I promise. I'm about to play some stuff, a lot of stuff actually. But I hope y'all enjoyed it, man. Please like, subscribe, if y'all did. All right, man.